Welcome back to Owlchemist Tarot, serving tarot straight up. So this is going to be a general pick a card reading, and this is pile 1, this is pile 2. So this is a Flex Arcana tarot deck, and this is a Sacred Heart tarot deck. I know they look similar, but pick the one that you're most drawn to. You can listen to both readings, by the way. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, and if you're a return subby, always appreciate it. So I'm going to be pulling a couple cards from each deck, pile 1, pile 2, and then again, maybe a few oracle cards just to kind of give you an idea overall what might be happening. I've shuffled pretty extensively offline, so I'm just going to shuffle a little bit on camera. And I shuffle until I'm told when to stop, so that's why I always tell people, I'm like, I don't shuffle a ton on camera just because we could be here for 45 seconds, a minute shuffling until I'm told no, okay? So it's just easier that way. Okay, now for pile 1, this is the Flex Arcana. This is one of my favorite decks. I haven't used it a ton. These are both some of my favorite decks, by the way. I'm trying to use more of my tarot decks that I haven't been like using as much. And I use the ones that I'm gravitated to in that moment, so because people always ask. It's different every time. All right. Okay. All right. So these are going to be cards / intuitive messages, by the way, okay? And again, these are general. They're not going to fit everyone's situation. So pile 1, what you got is seek. And you can see this person is kind of meditating, maybe in more of a traditional way, crisscross applesauce, along with these beautiful bluebirds. Grounding energy, really focusing on self. And then the next card is moving on. So for some of you, I feel like you have a pretty big decision coming up here. Something that you really need to take a step back and focus on next steps. This is not necessarily going to be the easiest decision, but it's necessary. So we just had the harvest full moon on the 20th. I'm filming this on Tuesdays, the day after. Full moon energy is all about releasing, okay? Letting go, surrendering, making room for things that you actually want in your life to come in. Now, this could indicate some type of an emotional attachment or relationship, and it doesn't have to be romantic. It can be kind of across the board. It can be a colleague, a family friend. It can be, you know, with a peer, you know, whatever the case is. But what I will tell you, and it feels a little bit strongly maybe on friend, you know, for some of you. So this is about really grounding yourself, meditating, processing how you want to take your next steps. I do feel that there is a conversation. You might be having to cut energetic ties with someone. That doesn't mean you don't wish them well, but they're just not meant to follow you and continue on your journey, okay? And again, that's really tough. And for some of you, if you are near water, okay, or just nature in general, get out there, because being outside can really help you kind of just calm yourself, calm the nerves, and you might have some epiphanies, maybe some channel messages that come to you, or just allows your brain to stop going like into this downward spiral of the what ifs and what happens and how I feel and how they feel. But I definitely think that there is a relatively hard decision coming up for some of you, or at least a tough conversation that you need to have. It could be parting ways with someone. It could be putting, you know, a strong line in the sand to say, look, if we want to continue down this path, whether it's a friend, family, if we want to still interact with each other, then there needs to be a level of respect, and you can't cross this line. And vice versa. So again, I do think that the more calm you are and the more level-headed you are before you make that decision is probably your best approach. Because if you are reactive and make a decision based on, you know, anger, rage, sadness, you know, having kind of this erratic type of understanding of the situation, it's probably not going to end as good as it could. First card that came out, Page of Pentacles. So I think for some of you, you are definitely trying to kind of gain control of stability a little bit. Just even of yourself. This can, especially if it has in regards to money, and this certainly could be related to a money situation or be stemmed from a money discussion. Maybe there's someone who borrowed money and they haven't paid you back, or even stolen money, or just valuable at time assets, those types of things. But at the end of the day, Page of Pentacles is asking you to take a very grounded approach. This is earth energy, so looking at things at a very stable position. And also the Page of Pentacles is taking very methodical, small steps forward to get yourself back into a place where you have a little bit more control over self, over maybe your home, or wherever you live. And just kind of the things in your life, things that you can touch, feel, and see. So sometimes this is, walking away from a partnership or relationship and having to figure out, okay, well, I'm going to need to get a place of my own. I need to figure out how to furnish this place, or, just like even little small steps. And it can be the planning stage of a lot of this. Like for some of you, you're writing things down, you're getting organized, you're really trying to put your collective thoughts together. That way you can approach this a very mature way. Next card is the moon. Yeah, something is coming up to light here. The moon card represents obviously things that are, being illuminated or coming up to the surface. The moon card is represented by Cancer. So it certainly could have to do with a home, family, something like that, where there is this like walking on eggshells, or there is this situation that needs to be addressed. And I think for many of you, you want to get it out of the way before the holidays start to come around, or maybe some of you don't want to go home for the holidays, or, deal with family and friends and all that stuff. And everybody has their own, again, the holidays aren't always the easiest, and they're not always considered a vacation, in my opinion, especially if you're kind of being batted around from family member to family member. But for many of you, this is just too much damage has been done with certain people, and there's just really no coming back from it. But there does need to be a discussion. There does need to be something that is dealt with, and then you kind of have this end, so at least everyone knows where they stand. So I do feel like there is some really deep emotions that you've been feeling around a particular situation. Could be family, friend, and again, could be a partner. But Cancer does represent that home life, so it could certainly be family related. The Justice card. The Justice card is represented by Libra, so certainly this could come to a head. We're in Virgo season. There's one of my dogs doing his yoga stretches for the morning. But the Justice card is represented by Libra. So Libra is season coming up. This certainly could be happening in the next month, couple weeks. But what I will tell you is that the Justice is really creating balance, creating a very fine line, understanding where everyone stands. Now, there's, again, could be something to deal with money, home, assets. Maybe there are things that as a collective family that you have to determine and make decisions around, a piece of property, an investment, an inheritance, something like that, where, people's true feelings are coming out, but there also needs to be a legal element to it, so people understand what's actually happening, and they're protected, and they, are kind of thinking in it in a very logical manner, okay? And I don't know why Spirit keeps saying this, but it's recorded, things are on paper, so everyone kind of understands. But what I will tell you is that there is a need for balance in your life, and there's a need to balance out this situation because it's taking too much of your energy, and it's very frustrating. For many of you, it could be selling a property. It could be, releasing control or, ownership of something. You have the Three of Pentacles. So this is working with a team. Now, again, this can be, bringing in other outside people to kind of help, maybe consultants or maybe advisors or even mediators to kind of give an idea of how things really are and how people can work together. But this is also making sure that you are around like-minded people, partnering and working and maybe networking and reaching out to some people who have more experience than you to help you make some decisions along the way. It's obviously Mercury retrograde. I'm having a hard time speaking. But the Three of Pentacles is all about partnership and teamwork. And it is about hard work, but it's also about building something for the future, building it in the right way, building it with you know, with other people who are experienced, building it with other people who care about you and want to see you win. I do think that for a lot of you, when you start to walk away from people who don't actually have your best interests at heart, and if this is a business deal, please, please, please get legal and attorneys involved just to triple check. And now it's even more so important because we are in Mercury retrograde, and it's really good to have people quadruple check fine print before you sign, okay? And that's not to say that you need to stop your life from doing legal things, but you just make sure that you have other people look at your stuff. I do see you cutting something out and moving on and freeing yourself from, you know, maybe an obligation, a legal obligation, a relationship, a business deal. And again, that can be with family, that can be with friends, that can be with other business partners, whatever the case is, or even a partner as in a husband, spouse, you know, that type of thing, wife. But what this is that this Three of Pentacles also looks to me almost like you're given freedom back. And you're given the ability to spread your wings and to do things and start on your own path in your own way and kind of do things, you know, the way that feels the most right for you. Okay. So pile one, I know this is a little bit heavy, but you know, best of luck to you. Let me know in the comments if this is the spread that makes the most sense for you. Again, you know, only if you feel comfortable. So pile two, pile two, pile two. Ooh, okay. Well, one flipped over, so we're just going to keep that one. Okay. Interesting, interesting. Okay, and then we're going to be using the Sacred Heart Tarot. This is a very beautiful deck. Oh my gosh. This is, even though this is kind of a standard size card, it's still, the cards are very thick, so it's always gives me issues shuffling. I don't know why. Again, it's just it's a user thing. It's not a, it's not the card thing. It's just me. I'm struggling today, so. Okay, well, those cards came out. We'll just keep them. Oops. I'll put one back. Wow. Wow. So a ton of sword energy here. So some of you are definitely in your head. So we have confront and release. In a way, a very, almost feeling a little similar pattern for pile two to what pile one was dealing with. So confront is, you know, this can be a lot of things. It can be confronting a situation, a person. It also can be confronting some things that are deeply rooted within yourself. Now, I'm a big advocate. If you are looking for assistance and you've been drawn to go to therapy, I would say, you know, this, you know, certainly could be a sign that that might be a good thing. I'm not against therapy is what I'm trying to get at. But I think for many of you, this is confronting parts of yourself that you keep hidden, kind of those deep-rooted emotions and how you feel, and not necessarily things that you express openly. So this could be some inner child work. This could be, you know, things that like trauma or things that have happened to you in your life that, you know, maybe you close yourself off and that you're not as open, and you kind of take a step back and you're like, well, why am I not able to like get into the right relationship? Or why am I not able to like, you know, get ahead in my career? Why am I not able to like really make amazing friendships and connections? And it certainly could stem from, there's things just within you that you're not really opening up yet. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just identifying it and figuring out how to move past it. Or work through it, I should say. And this is a release. This is a process. And I feel like for many of you, this is like in the heart chakra. So it certainly could be things that are relationship related. Not, you know, and again, relationships across the board. It doesn't have to be just romantic or just family or friends. It can be across the board. But I think for many of you, it's just being closed off and really not knowing how to open up, maybe not knowing who to trust or how to trust people, you know, or always kind of waiting for the shoe to drop. So, you know, there could be some healing work that needs to still be done here, pile two. And I know a lot of you are like, I don't want to hear about healing work. I'm like, I get it. But, you know, even as you confront things head on and deal with it, there's been many times, and this includes myself, where I'll get through something and then I'm like months or years later, I'm like, oh, why is this kind of rearing its head up again? it's because there could be elements of that I really didn't like completely shut the door on. So again, it's an evolving process. It's something you'll deal with your entire life. So please don't be thrown off guard when it's like somebody talks about healing work, okay? And by the way, I just want to point out in Spirit saying that not everybody needs to do healing work, or maybe we use shadow work alone. That can be with a professional. I mean, please do what makes the most sense for you as an individual. First card that came out is the Knight of Swords. And I feel like for some of you, and again, it's pretty much all sword energy here. So very much in your head. And swords represent air energy. So Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra. Doesn't mean you have to be that zodiac sign. It just means that you could be pulling those characteristics. Air signs have a ability to be a little bit more detached than the rest, and maybe the zodiacs, especially like the Aquarius, very detached emotionally, like, or doesn't talk about it, or doesn't know how to talk about their emotions, or doesn't, and again, air signs sometimes will always try to make a joke or be kind of the smart ass because they don't want to deal with something that's like impacting them and makes them uncomfortable. So, and I can say that because I'm an air sign, so guilty. But Knight of Swords, I feel like some of you are kind of like just on this point of no return. Like you're just going forward and you're like, I don't even know how my life ended up like this. Like I'm just bulldozing forward. And the Knights are always on a mission to do something. And the Knight of Swords is very much like, not really know like what they're doing or how they're doing it, but they're just like going, right? And sometimes that's okay, but if you don't feel like you're grounded or know kind of like the why or the end result or like what you're trying to achieve, it can be a little nerve-wracking. You're just like, it's like 5 years later, I'm still doing this, or I'm kind of like, I don't even know if I have like control of my own life, and am I really doing what I want to do, right? So, but what I'm going to tell you is that the Knight of Swords, you can always get off the horse, okay? Like you can always, and I'm not saying quit, I'm just saying you can always get off the horse and kind of take a step back and slow down. I know a lot of individuals, especially with social media, that everyone wants to compare themselves. It's easy to compare yourself. It's always easy to kind of look at, well, I'm not working hard enough. I'm not doing a ton. I should be doing a ton more. You know what? I will tell you, you need to go at the pace that feels right for you, not what somebody else is doing because they post a picture. The Knight of Swords, this is saying that, yes, you still need to continue to progress and reevaluate and move forward in your life, but you don't have to go 1,000 miles an hour. You just don't. And so take the time and reevaluate what path you want to be on. Three of Swords. For some of you, this can certainly mean, this is the heartbreak card, known traditionally as a heartbreak card. You've got maybe some messages recently. The raven always kind of indicates messenger. And maybe for some of you, the raven or the crow is a representative in your life, or you're really connected to that type of bird. I certainly am with the raven. So for some of you, this is moving on. And again, we talked about confronting and releasing. This could be truly you keeping things close to your chest because you're not ready to open up. And emotionally, it's been very hard for you. This can certainly be from a past love relationship, romantic relationship, or even, realizing that you did grow up in a toxic environment. You did grow up in a situation where a lot of the stuff that has happened to you or the way that you are now as an adult was not necessarily things that were your fault as a kid, okay? So when I see it's not so much that it's like the cheating, the third party vibe, but this is a massive transition card. It is feeling it. It is going through it. And this is not like the Knight of Swords. It's not, what you don't want to do is just bulldoze over and not deal with the emotions as they come up. You really want to feel it so you can heal it, okay? And again, everybody deals with that differently. The Heart of Swords, the Queen of Swords, is not the softest energy, okay? Let's be honest. What I feel like for some of you in pile 2 is that you're becoming very hard. Like you're hardening your heart. You're closing yourself off emotionally. And you don't want to skip this step because this transition, it's asking you to take a step back and go through some of those hardships, those feelings like, because you don't want to relearn the lesson. But if you just sweep those emotions and, you know, keep those thoughts and, you know, ignoring your intuition under the rug, you're going to relearn that lesson. The Queen of Swords is a very independent energy. She's also sometimes known as the Ice Queen, kind of the widower, because this is somebody who is not going to put up with anyone's BS. Now, that's not a bad thing. I pull this energy a ton. But the Queen of Swords, if you can stand in your power and still be very strong, but learn how to also embrace your feminine, you know, your divine feminine, because this to me is always very strong masculine energy. I would recommend that there needs to be a balance. The Queen of Swords can cut someone at the knees. You can have people approach you, even just saying, hey, how are you doing? And you just might be like, I'm fine, don't talk to me. And like no emotion. Queen of Swords can be very cutting. So I would say that this is not the time to bulldoze past some things that you need to work on. Confront it, then release it. Because if you don't, you might come off very, very cold, and it's like going to be really hard to approach you. All's not lost though. We got the Star card. This is represented by Aquarius. This is really about peace and hope. Now, the 8-pointed star is, you know, directly correlated to Leo, the Strength card. The Strength card is number 8 in the tarot. Aquarius and Leo are opposite sides on the zodiac wheel. It is going to take a lot of strength to go through this, okay? This is a lot of deep work that some of you have to go through. And I'm saying this because I've definitely gone through this and still do. But the Star card, when it comes out, especially on the ending of this, you might not know where you're going, and it might feel like you're off kind of the rails, but I guarantee you, if you take a step back and really work on a lot of things that you're feeling and that are deep-rooted within you, this Star card tells me that you're going to make it through better than you ever anticipated. You're going to learn how to heal yourself a lot better. You're going to recognize when you're hurt, when you're sad, allow yourself to express those emotions. You know, the Star card is usually a depiction of a woman that has a pitcher and is pouring the water, the emotions onto land. So it's very much about learning how to pull all these deep emotions out and learning how to ground them. You know, earth energy is very grounding and stabilizing. So it's learning to have that balance, to have the emotions and the grounded approach. It's not just one or the other, okay? So having and showing your emotions and showing that vulnerability is not making you weak. It's actually making you stronger. And almost like a triple threat, okay? So all I can tell you is that the Star card, this is truly a very good omen and a good sign that you're, you know, going to really be at a more peaceful place in your life because you've taken the time to work on yourself. And this is important because, especially if this is, and it doesn't matter what type of relationship it is, you are going to be better off in your next relationships, friendships, you know, relationships with your family or colleagues, when you can take a step back and you're like, you know what, I've really gone through it and I understand. I can see people when they're hurting, you know, and you have more empathy. Okay, so pile 2, I really wish you the best. Again, if you want to leave a comment, you're more than welcome to. Hope you guys follow me on Instagram and TikTok because I post there quite a bit, and I'll see you in the next video.